If you watched my review I did a while back on the Uwell Crown, then you know I loved that tank. I still love that tank, okay? It's in my top 3. No freaking joke. Top 3 as far as sub-ohm tanks, and that's to date, man. I go to it every other day. That's how good it is. But guess what? Uwell's got a new product, and it's a new tank. It's a new sub-ohm tank. It's about to hit the market, and that tank is called the RAFALE. First, the differences. The differences between the RAFALE tank and the Crown. Okay, 1, the RAFALE tank is bigger. It's 23 millimeters versus the 22 millimeter Uwell Crown. 2, since this is bigger, it holds more juice. It holds 5 mils versus the Crown, which held, I believe, 4 mils. 3, even though the RAFALE has bottom and top fill, just like the Uwell Crown, top fill for this RAFALE is totally different. 4, airflow. You get way more airflow with the RAFALE than you do with the Crown. I mean, I noticed it. It's a big difference. The lung hitters are going to love this thing. 5, the drip tip that comes with this is wide bore. It's actually permanent. You cannot take it out. You can't use your standard 510 drip tips. The drip tip with the Uwell Crown, you can take it out, pop in your standard 510 drip tips. Also, as you guys can see, there's a rubbery sleeve on the permanent drip tip for this RAFALE tank. There was no rubbery sleeve for the Crown drip tip. Okay, and then 6, 2 coil heads come with this RAFALE kit. 3 coil heads came with the Crown kit. Also, the coil heads for this RAFALE are larger than the coil heads for the Crown. And then lastly, this Uwell RAFALE tank looks totally different than the Uwell Crown tank, to me. So right now, I've got the 0.5 ohm 316 stainless steel parallel coil head in here. She's reading it 0.5 ohms. I'm vaping her at 50 watts, and I got the airflow about a quarter of a way open. That's it, a quarter of a way open all across the board. Here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and take the wattage up to about 70 watts just for skitties and tittles. 70! So now that you've seen all that vapor, I'm gonna go ahead and dive down, show you this thing up close and personal. We'll come back, talk about the pros and the cons, and then I'll let you know if I lost this sucker today when I go out tomorrow and buy one. Alrighty, boys and girls, so here's what I received from Uwell as far as the packaging for this RAFALE tank. It comes in this plastic waxy type wrap, and this is brand new, by the way. They sent me a bunch of these suckers to give away, which I'm going to. I can't wait to do it. And you got a tube in here, and that slides out. I mean, everything is super clean. Goodness gracious. Not a scratch on this tube. Looks mint. At the top it says, ooh, Uwell. And here's the top of this packaging. It's sealed off by this tape. Top comes off like so. And underneath the top of this packaging, the first thing you are going to see is an authenticity code. And directly underneath that authenticity code, you are going to see 2 circular informational cards. And as you guys can see, one says, "Capture the king, just win it." And the other one just has more Uwell information at the bottom with this cool little picture. Here's where it gets to the good stuff. Underneath those cards, those circular cards, you get this bubble type wrap with your tank and your extras, and oh man, oh look at that. I've never seen anything like this before. It feels, it's just it's bubbly. It keeps everything secure. And then at the top, you got an extra coil head, a silica gel pack to keep everything dry. Of course, these coil heads also have that condom or that sleeve on there. And this is the 0.5 ohm coil head. So what's already pre-installed into the tank is going to be the 0.2 ohm coil head. And underneath the coil head, you're going to receive an extra quartz tank. And last but not least, inside that bubble wrap is going to be your RAFALE tank. Oh yeah, before I show you the close-ups of the tank, I also want to show you something else it comes with. It comes with a user manual, how to use it, all that good stuff. How to take her apart, how to fill her up, which all the stuff that I'm going to show you basically. And at the base of the tube, you receive extra O-rings. Alright, so finally, here's a close-up view of this Uwell RAFALE tank. Few specs for you. She's primarily made of stainless steel. She got a quartz class tank. She's 23 millimeters in width and she's 65 millimeters in height. Holds 5 mils of juice. Here's your adjustable airflow at the base. You got these giant slots, one slot on one side, one slot on the other. And here's your adjustable airflow ring, and it protrudes just a little bit just to make it easier to get a hold of it. And all you do is just turn to adjust, and it clicks into place. Listen to this. And whatever you adjust on this side is going to be the exact same on this side. And like I said, you get a buku of airflow, man. It's crazy. Here's the base of this device. You got a gold-plated, non-adjustable 510 pin. Here are the threads. Smooth 510 threads. Everything about this is pretty much spotless, man. Like I said, the packaging's clean, the device is clean, just like the Uwell Crown. But at the base it says Uwell RAFALE, www.myuwell.com. Up top here is your permanent drip tip. When I mean by permanent, you cannot take this thing off. It's part of the top cap, but it's got this rubbery sleeve on there, and you just pop it off like so. Or should I say silicone sleeve. But here's what the drip tip looks like without that silicone sleeve on there. At the top of the drip tip, it's got a bore of about 10 millimeter, and then at the bottom of the drip tip, it tapers down to about 7.5 millimeter. And then look at the shaft section, it looks like it's split in two. I'll show you exactly what that's all about, and that has to do with the anti-patent spitback. Like I mentioned before, you could fill this sucker up from the top or the bottom. First of all, I'm going to show you how to fill her up from the top, okay? You see these two holes? That's where you fill her up, either one or the other, and then all you got to do is you got to turn the drip tip. Right now, it's closed off because I've turned it all the way to the right, but you can open her up by turning it all the way to the left. You see that? And if you look closely, it's got a little plate down there, and it lowers and lowers and lowers, and that's how it opens up, and you just go to fill her up. But it looks like it's closed, it's really not. So I'm going to turn her all the way to the left. See how it drops? Watch this, I'm going to close her back up. See that? And you got to make sure that when you close her back up, you twist her all the way to the right till she stops. But I really don't fill her up from the top. Every time I've done it, I get a little bit of leakage. It goes away, but it's still annoying. So what I've been doing is I've been filling her up from the bottom, and I just unscrew the base. And you got two notches, one on one side, one on the other. Pick one and fill her up. Alrighty, so what I did was I brightened the exposure so you could see the spiral in the shaft section. You see that? Okay, they designed it that way to kill the spitback. I'm going to go ahead and disassemble this tank section. There's the top cap. See in there, there's the slots where you fill it up from the top. You got a padded O-ring in here to seal in the juice and protect the tank. But engraved on this top cap says Uwell. Here's the quartz tank that's installed. And then there's the shaft section. Got an O-ring up top to seal in the juice. And that's that spiral that I showed you. And this section is what screws back on the base, and the coil head fits up in there. And the juice feeds down into these slots, down into where your coil head is, where those feed holes are on the coil head, and that's how it works. It wicks to your wick to your coil. But you got another O-ring down here, and that's to pad the quartz tank and seal everything in. Screws together like so. Make sure everything is tight. And then here's the 0.2 ohm coil head. Base is double O-ring to seal everything in. There's a close-up view for you. Just like I mentioned for the Uwell crown, this thing is clean, clean, clean. Just as clean. So like I said, this is the 0.2 ohm dual parallel 0.2 ohm 3/16 stainless steel. You got 2 feed holes on one side, 2 feed holes on the other. Uses organic Japanese cotton. But yeah, you see that? That's a parallel coil. Wraps are running in parallel. That's what that means. And these coil heads are larger than Uwell crown coil heads for sure. Coil's bigger too. And then here's the 0.5 ohm dual parallel 3/16 coil head. Again, 2 feed holes on one side, 2 feed holes on the other. Still blocked off on the edges up top. Uses organic Japanese cotton just like the other coil head. And this coil is just as large in diameter. Now before I put everything else together, I got to prime this coil head up for any newbie watching this. If you're using something that's got Japanese cotton or any type of cotton in the coil head, you got to juice her up beforehand, because if you don't, you're potentially going to ruin the coil. It's going to burn it up. It's going to burn that cotton up. You got to get her all wet. That's what she said. You don't want to flood her, just a couple drops. Couple drops on the outside. And like I said, I usually fill her up from the bottom, but just for you guys, I'm going to fill her up from the top. And you got to make sure that the airflow is completely closed. Turn the drip tip counterclockwise or to the left. And then start filling. So check her out. You got a little air pocket, and that's what I like. But look at this. You got a little mess, and it's because the holes are too damn small. Uwell, if you're watching this, make your holes bigger. That way you can fit your dropper in there. Once I'm done, turn the drip tip to the right. All the way closed. You got to be tightened all the way. Look at that. Leakage. That's what I'm talking about. She always leaks at the beginning. Always. No matter what. Alrighty, so that's a breakdown of this Uwell RAFALE tank. Let's go ahead and take her back to FaceTime. First, the pros. Packaging, packaging, packaging. Clean. Different. Professional looking. Uwell is definitely trying to make a statement here. This just says, I am professional. I'm ready to rock this industry. I'm ready to be the best. Now, is this tank the best? To some of you guys, it may be. As far as more pros go for this RAFALE tank, first of all, this is a lung hitter's dream. Open up the airflow and go to freaking town, man. Vapor production for freaking days. This is right there with the TFV4 as far as extreme. The TFV4, it chucked. This is right there with it. But yeah, back to the adjustable airflow. It's super easy. It clicks into place as you guys saw. Now, as far as the coil heads go, the 0.5 ohm were awesome. The 0.2, a few of them have given me some issues. They leaked a little bit. They spit back a little bit. And that's with the 0.2, 0.5, no issues. Given the option to have top fill or bottom fill is great. I've been using mostly the bottom fill. I'm not really a big fan of the top fill. I actually like the top fill better on the Uwell Crown. It was easier to use. And I don't know, I've had a couple leak issues with this. It hasn't been horrible, but it's definitely something to note. And it's only when I've been using the top fill. Also, having a tank that holds 5 mils of juice, that's a big pro. The fact that the RAFALE tank comes with a rubbery drip tip sleeve, it's comfortable. It keeps my lips from getting too hot because this device can get a little hot on you. And I just like it. It's a pro. Now the cons. Like I mentioned before with the 0.2 ohm coil heads, a few of them have been a little bit, I mean, they've leaked on me, they've spit on me. And this next one's going to be a subjective con, but as far as the top fill for this, I like the Crown a lot better. The Crown one, I didn't have that much leaking filling from the top. This one I have more leaking. And it also is a little bit messy. The holes, the top fill holes, they can be a little bit larger. The fact that the SS drip tip that comes with this is permanently attached to the top cap, you can't use your standard 510 drip tips, that's a con to me. I like to use my standard 510 drip tips. I'm just one of those vapors. So they market this thing as anti-spitback my ass. If you take the wattage up with the 0.5 ohm, when I took it up to 70 watts and I vaped on it for like 10 minutes, I was getting juice in my mouth. It wasn't crazy, but it was, you know, it was spitting. It was spitting. Also, using this tank with a 0.2 ohm and 0.5 ohm coil head doesn't matter, okay? This device gets hot. Over time, you take the wattage up, even at lower wattages, it gets hot over time. Some of these sub-ohm tanks, a lot of them get warm. Almost all of them get warm. Some of them get hotter than others. This is definitely a hottie. So here's the deal. I don't know if anybody's selling this thing right now. As I record this, there is nobody selling this thing online right now. But as soon as someone that I know of that I could vouch for online is selling it, I'll post a link in the description. Now on to the big question, the big answer of the day. Hey Rip, if you'd lost this sucker today, would you go out tomorrow and buy one? You know, here's a more appropriate question. Hey Rip, which one do you prefer, the Uwell RAFALE tank or the Uwell Crown? To me, I'm a Uwell Crown guy. I get better flavor off the Uwell Crown. I do at lower wattages. Now if I take the wattage up on this, I get better flavor, but it's a hotter vape. And to me, I don't want a super hot vape. I want a lukewarm vape. And with the Uwell Crown, I get that. So yeah, here it is in a nutshell. If you're an extreme type of vapor, you want that extreme vape experience like the TFV4 where you have massive airflow, massive vapor, this is for you, the Uwell RAFALE. Also, you're looking for something a little bit bigger. But if you're looking for a 22mm tank, better flavor, little less vapor, little less airflow, that device is for you. Oh yeah, and you know what? That leads me to talk about this. If you're looking for a Uwell Crown, I know a guy right now, a site that is selling it for 20 bucks. That's it, 20 bucks. In the description, I'll post a link where you can find them. This is Rip Chippers, and remember, smoking is dead, vaping is the future, and the future is now.